it's important to remember these brands are only targeting to advertise their products. These typically normal, beautiful people.
Yeah.
And I actually think what's great about social is that the real normal people of the world who are fat, thin, big, small, tall, short, whatever, are reacting to that by creating their own accounts that are about, it's called body positivity, but I'd say it's actually more like that is body normality.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to 30 Years and Running. I'll be your host, Christian, and each week my friends and I will be looking at life seen through the eyes of 30-somethings. Whether it's things like dating, social media, or mental health, we'll be looking at the past, present, and future of being in your 30s. So, welcome to 30 Years and Running. I've got a special guest with me, Becks, man-like.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi again. You're such a regular on your podcast now.
I know. You should probably get used to it. Well, you're going to get annoyed at me, like, always asking you to, like, come over and film different episodes and
Chat
stuff.
shit. No, never.
Chat shit, get banged.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that. Where did that even come from?
I don't know. I think I've only heard you say it.
Really?
Yeah.
I definitely didn't make it up, but I've heard it from somewhere. But yeah, so Becks and I, we worked together for a few years. And yeah, we've kind of carried that relationship on like outside of work, I guess. So yeah, been to the odd rave, been to the odd park, been to, what else have we done? I think that's about it, actually.
Oh, I don't know. We've done like
The odd
just
podcast.
the odd podcast, just general hangs, haven't we? General hangs.
That's been cool. So like something that I wanted to talk about today actually was well, actually, it was two innocuous things, really. So one was, so I went back to the gym for the first time last week.
Nice.
And it was brutal, by the way. But basically, like, I was doing something. I was doing like an exercise, and I overheard like some guys. They're on the bench press machine, not the machine, but they were doing bench press. And one of the guys was trying to lift some weights, and like his friend was just saying, "Oh, bruv, you're bare weak, blah blah blah. Like, how can you not lift like it was like 50 or something like that,
right.
or 50 or 60 or something like that." And that kind of got me thinking. Like, it's like a really innocuous thing, but like it kind of got me thinking about just like as guys, like we kind of take the piss out of each other for not being able to lift much, or not being like muscular, or not living up to like the stereotypical thing of being manly.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing, and then the second thing is like I was chatting to you earlier, like trampoline gate. So just for context, like my mum ordered a trampoline, and she asked me to build it for her. And I remember asking her, like, why do you need a trampoline? And she was like, oh, I want to get rid of like my belly. My mum's in her 60s. And I was like, what belly are you talking about? She's like, this belly here. And I was like, what? You're chatting rubbish, man. But anyway, like both of those incidents kind of got me thinking, because they're both like really like throwaway comments, and they're both like really innocuous, but it just kind of got me thinking more broadly just around just body image from a male and a female perspective. And like I was saying to you earlier, like I've never sat down with either one of my guy friends or my girlfriends and like talked about it, because it like I say, it's something that just kind of like falls by the wayside, and it's something that is just part of conversation. You don't really kind of think anything of it, and then it kind of almost snowballed into thinking about some of the more, I don't want to say extreme, but the kind of the bigger cases of like some of the friends who I know who have kind of changed their body image for some reason or others. So like, for example, I've had girlfriends who have had breast implants, either because of they've just had kids, and they just want to kind of reshape the breasts to how they were beforehand, and a really more kind of like worrying reason is because they've been bullied at school because of it, and they were in the position where financially they could actually do it. Likewise, I had another friend who literally went to Turkey to get she got what's it called, like fat literally put into her arse, just because, for no reason at all, like apart from just the fact that she wasn't comfortable with her own arse, even though it's fine. But like I say, it just kind of got me just thinking about just body image in terms of like, just along the spectrum from, the stuff I was talking about with the gym and my mum versus kind of getting cosmetic surgery to the more extreme cases, like we were talking in another episode around kind of like lip fillers and the kind of the, you know, how people kind of almost go too far with it sometimes, really. So so I thought it would just be interesting to talk about that with someone, because like I say, I've never actually sat down and talked to anybody about it, and just like their own experiences of body image, whether they've had any or not, or likewise if they haven't had any, or just like general thoughts on like what the current state of play is, really. So
I think it's really interesting that you said that you'd never had that sort of conversation, and I think that's actually a massive key point to this whole discussion, is that how differently men and women feel about this issue. And with women and girls, it's much more widely spoken about. It's something that we discuss probably from very young age, like really young age, even from like childhood through to teenager, through the rest of our lives. I feel we've always had this feeling about ourselves that we discuss with our friends, with our family, with our mums, those sorts of things. And yet men, I fully believe and know that men do feel this way, and men do obviously have this relationship with their bodies, and they have those feelings of either like or dislike, but it's just not so widely discussed amongst male circles, unless it's in the way that you overheard in the gym, where the man was like sort of ripping his mate, and I personally, I think that's kind of sad, really. I'd like to think he was genuinely joking, but
and that's what I mean. Like, and even there was another example literally about a week ago where we're just in a WhatsApp group, and like one of my friends was, again, he was talking about going back to the gym, and he was talking about like dumbbell chest press, and he was doing like quite a heavy weight as well. I think it was like 28s or something like that. And like one of the other friends was like, oh, was that a warm up kind of thing? And it's just kind of, it's like that. It's like banter.
Yeah.
And I know that's like a really light example, but like it just got me thinking just broadly around not even just the way you look kind of body wise, but like I suppose you could argue that stuff like body image includes things like your hair, and I think for guys like your height and stuff like is a big thing as well. And then I suppose those things always bring me back to something like dating, where I see it arguably like the most prominently. So like you'll be going through Tinder or Bumble or whatever, and I'd say 90% of the profiles that I see, they'll have something to do with either height, so guys need to be 6 foot plus,
6 foot or over,
which makes zero sense, by the way.
None.
When the girl is
5 foot nothing,
exactly, where like I shit you not, it happens like more times than not. There'll be stuff to do with having a beard.
Right.
Like,
what, as in wanting a big, like, sort of full kind of beard?
Yeah. So like they'll basically kind of like draw out their dream guy, which is fine, but it will be like 6 foot plus, like with a beard, like, loads of tattoos. Yeah. So me, obviously beardless.
Yeah.
It's just something that I noticed.
And like, tattooless.
Yeah, and
tattoo. Right?
Yeah, and tattooless as well. Jeez, I'm really striking out on Tinder.
Yeah, this is why.
This
you didn't realise.
Oh, wow. Fucking hell, you're like, this is why you're single.
No.
Mate, you haven't got a beard and tattoo. True.
You're tall though. That's okay.
Yeah, I know.
Are you 6 foot? You're 6 foot, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was just thinking, like, I feel really kind of grateful, because like I feel like I'm super fortunate that I haven't had any kind of real body issues, because like you say, I've been kind of like, I'm tallish. Tall. Like I haven't had, like, body wise, like I'm comfortable with where I am kind of thing. But I know that, you know, some people obviously don't feel that way, and they feel they need to go to the gym, or they need to kind of change the way they look in their face and have plastic surgery and all that kind of stuff, really. So, so again, like part of the reason why I thought it'd be interesting is because like it's a little bit of a foreign concept for me, to be honest, because I've never looked at myself in the mirror and been like, oh shit, that looks terrible, or I need to change that. Like, we were talking before about just some cosmetic stuff that you might want to change, like for example, bags under your eyes. Like I've always had these, but like we were saying before, like it's kind of part of my identity, and I'm kind of used to them, and it doesn't bother me that much, so it's not an issue for me. But you know, there's some people who stuff like that, stuff which is a little bit more prominent, like I don't know, nose or lips or hair loss or whatever it might be, like that's something
boobs
that
or bum, which you see as being too big, too small, whatever.
So like I say, like no other reason apart from the fact that those two incidents that I mentioned at the start just kind of sparked something, and I was just like, Just talk about it.
I actually think you nailed it when you said that you've always looked in the mirror and felt all right because you've got a normal, and I'll use inverted commas, like normal body, and by that I mean society normal. And for that I agree with you in that I'm a short woman, I'm 5'1", but I'm slim as well. So for that reason I pass within society as you pass, being a tall, 6 foot guy of a normal build. We kind of get away with it, I guess, whereas there's people who are of the opposite extreme of that. Either you're bigger for whatever reason, or you're much smaller for whatever reason, and we all know you're bombarded with images of what you're meant to look like, whether that's it used to be in magazines, whereas all of that has now moved online on social. These influencers have perfect bodies, all of this. So I wonder if I think it's an issue that's always been there. But I think if you, for whatever reason, look in the mirror and feel that you fall outside of that normal body, then there is, I suppose, always that something within you that makes you feel that you're not quite right, you don't look right. You'd be more successful either in dating or in your career, or just walk down the street and feel better about yourself if you looked a certain way that reflects this society image.
And I think social media is a bit funny. I know you just kind of touched at it there, but like social media is a bit of a funny one because like I was here, I think I mentioned earlier, but I was here talking to Richard about social media. And one of the things we were talking about is almost like the good and the bad of social media. And like I suppose in this instance, like the good of it, like I've seen a lot of examples, and I think we're getting better on social media, and just broadly speaking, just in society as well, in terms of like body positivity, like embracing who you are, no matter what size you are. And I definitely see that more on social media. However, on the flip side, like you say, like I see almost as many, in fact, more than kind of average of instant models who look kind of completely perfect. And so it's almost like this weird dichotomy where like it's like this weird battle between like social media trying to show like it's okay to be who you are, no matter how big you are, small you are, whatever, but then also like you're flooded with images of people in like with perfect bodies and stuff like that. And then you've got things like Love Island, for example, which obviously kind of
course they're all stunning. That's it. And I think actually there's two things you've mentioned there. To be an influencer on social, people do it for all sorts of reasons. So, whatever they, I'm not going to judge anybody, but a lot of what they do is they're selling stuff. They're doing ads, and the hashtag ad, hashtag whatever that these influencers are doing. So that it's important to remember these brands are only targeting to advertise their products. These typically normal, beautiful people. And I actually think what's great about social is that the real normal people of the world who are fat, thin, big, small, tall, short, whatever, are reacting to that by creating their own accounts that are about, it's called body positivity, but I'd say it's actually more like that is body normality, because we are all different shapes and sizes. So I think it's really important to still consider the role of, brands and marketing and selling products to make us thinner or whatever. And the responding that comes from normal people is that actually you are okay to be like, body positive and look however you look, and you are you, and that is amazing and unique, and all of those sorts of messaging.
And I always think social media is a bit of a funny one, because I think, like for me, social media is like the one place where you should and could be yourself. But I feel sad sometimes, because like a lot of people just want to show just like the best bits of their life, or the ones, not the normal parts of their life, which I feel a bit sad about, really. But I get it as well, because like you say, if they're on social media and they're promoting a brand or something like that, then obviously you're going to show like the best bits of your workout, or how you look that day or something like that. But I just think it's a real shame, basically, that somewhere where it's social media, where you're supposed to be like showing who you are, you can't show who you are.
It definitely.
And it's not even restricted to social media. I think it's just like, it's everywhere. I think social media just like accelerates that, and I start seeing it outside of social media, where for the longest time people have always wanted like nice designer stuff or whatever, basically. But like I think social media has just like completely accelerated that, and like I say, it's kind of spilling out into not just what people wear and the materialistic stuff, but it's just how they look. And I remember even seeing, I don't even know what I'm talking about, because I haven't finished watching it, but like there's a Reggie Yates documentary on Netflix, where he spends times with guys who they're like completely against the way they look, and they spend thousands on cosmetic surgery,
Oh, wow.
like literally getting like abs implanted into their stomach, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Yeah.
But like stuff like that kind of makes me sad that people like get to it's almost like it's a breaking point, and they're just like, literally, I have to spend £1,000 to make me look like somebody who I'm not, but somebody who I think like, society is going to appreciate. So
it's funny you mentioned about surgery and things, because it used to be back in the day, you'd be super rich to have that sort of surgery. Like, it used to be like Pamela Anderson, you know, A-list celebrity, supermodel type people. But now it's so accessible and it's so cheap. It's literally a couple of grand, which, you know, if you save up for a bit, is very attainable. Yeah. And you can get it done in a lunchtime. You know, like you can get lipo done in liposuctions, like remove fat sort of procedures. You can have that done over a lunch break. That can be done really easily. So it's about this accessibility that also normalizes it, and then also therefore normalizes hating what you've got and being able to change it, which I think is really sad.
Yeah. Would you ever get surgery?
Well, I mean, as we were speaking about before, I've had a bit of Botox and things. I actually don't
proper surgery.
No,
like...
I actually don't think I would. Like back in the day when I was a teenager, again, being a short, sort of slim girl, I had no boobs. I still, in fairness, still probably don't. But and at a point in my life that bothered me. I wanted a womanly figure, because again, you're fed images of buxom, you know, celebrities selling buxom, old school word, because I'm an old school woman. But, you know, it's that like Wonder Bra type image of, you know, like Hello Boys and all of that. And you look at magazines, you think, I don't look like that, and I should do. And I felt like I was missing out, that I wouldn't be attractive, that I'd therefore be a bit lesser in life and things. But actually, as my life's sort of gone on, I've realised that actually having small boobs has not held me back. And you realise things about your own body, like, again, small frame with a massive pair of bangers. I'd probably look a bit daft, you know.
It's almost, I feel like it's almost flipped now, actually. Like maybe back in the day, it was about having like big boobs. Yeah. Like, I feel like nowadays it's about having a big ass.
Well, actually, that's another really good point, that people can go to massive extremes to change their body, but actually body shapes are as fashionable as clothes are, and body shapes come in and out of fashion. So when I was 100%. When I was initially growing up, as I mentioned, it was the Helena Christendon, you know, with that Wonder Bra ad. That was one of the images, and Pamela Anderson. But then it was also, flip side was Kate Moss and those supermodels who were skinny waifs and selling those clothes of the 90s, where you actually couldn't wear those sort of dresses if you had boobs and a bum. And as you say, now it's all about booty and being thick and those sort of thighs and that sort of like hourglass shape. Yeah, thick with two C's. Not thick with not CK thick. Yeah. But yes, and that's what I mean, like body shapes become more and more fashionable. It used to be like Peter Andre type abs, you know, like that mysterious girl, he's in, you know, six pack. Whereas now it's a bit more, and then it went to like, you know, Pete Doherty from Libertines. He was like skinny, sort of heroin chic kind of vibe. Yeah, like skinny dudes who look a bit grubby. Or like Kurt Cobain, who's just a normal bloke with like greasy hair. Like all of, again, fashion is just moves as well as clothing. You can have body shapes being in fashion as well.
Yeah, I think so. For the, like, let's get this out of the way. Like, guys don't have it anywhere near as worse as girls in terms of like the pressure for body image. But just speaking as a guy, I think the only pressure that I've kind of felt, though I haven't really felt it, it's just been on being like big. And I think I part of me thinks like the reason,
you mean like chest, body, like
just big, like being muscular. But then I think part of the reason why that accelerated for me as well is just because I'm a black guy as well. Like I think people assume that you should, or they feel like, oh, you should be like really sporty, you should be really athletic basically, so you should be like big and muscular, you should have like a massive beard, you should have like a fade or whatever it is, right? So like that's the only thing that I've kind of seen. But again, it's not a pressure that I've really kind of like felt per se, but like I say, I feel really fortunate that I haven't been, you know, like looking in the mirror one day and been like, oh shit, I really need to kind of change.
Do you know what I will say, just in reaction to that, is that yes, there is more pressure and the spotlight is maybe on women, and women get it harsh, obviously. But actually, I do think it's important to just address that men still do have it hard, but it's just not as talked about. And that's, I think, the main thing. Everyone knows that women face this pressure, or I hope they know, because it is definitely true. But at least I feel women are able to kind of band together and support each other and build a support network. And that's one thing I do feel that men don't have. Like you say, men tend to rip each other, or, you know, you need to lift more in the gym, and it's all a bit jokey. Whereas actually, men men do definitely feel that pressure to look a certain way, but maybe it feels like not manly to talk about it, or you don't want to confide in your mates that you're feeling that way.
I was going to say, I've literally never had a conversation with my friends about it. Like, don't get me wrong, we won't like meet up and be like, listen guys, we're going to talk about body image.
No, sure.
But like, we've never even touched about it. Like you say, like it only really comes just like taking a piss out of each other. Like, I've got friends who are bald, for example, and like, I'm obviously not bald, but like I feel like baldness is probably like for guys that's a big deal.
It's a real equivalent actually to some of the pressures that that women feel, definitely. But again, I think men are made to feel, oh, you joke it off.
Yeah, you just kind of like laugh it off. It's kind of like it's hereditary, so there's nothing you can do about it. It's kind of like it's part and parcel of getting older. But like, you know, I see more and more people nowadays like getting hair transplants.
Yeah.
Trying. Obviously, it's more kind of like celebrities. Who you
yeah,
see
sure.
doing it. But you know, I do have friends who are bald and who are conscious about it and conscious about their highlights.
That would consider that sort of therapy or treatment?
So. Like, yeah, I think they would. Like, again, I don't know. Like, it's probably not like top of their list or anything like that. But I felt if I asked them one-on-one, they would probably consider it. In fact, I'm almost certain that they would consider it. So again, it's just one of those things that we just don't really. Yeah, you don't. I think guys compared to girls are just we're a lot worse at like talking about our feelings in general. Sure. And at some point, like on this podcast, we'll talk about men's health as well. Sorry, not men's health, mental health. But we'll talk about how men probably find it more difficult than women to talk about their problems. Yeah, and stuff. Sure. And I think body image is just one of those things that kind of falls within that category as well. But it's a weird thing. Like I said at the start, it's just kind of like it's like it's almost like locker room talk, and you just kind of like learn to live with it. But I think it's a weird thing because it's one of those things that I feel like it doesn't really it doesn't seem like a big deal at the time, but I feel like because it happens so much without you even kind of realizing it, that it's something that kind of for a lot of people just chips away at them. Yeah. And then they end up doing stuff like I was saying with the Reggie Yates documentary.
Yeah, that's really drastic sort of surgery, it sounds.
Yeah, implants for abs and stuff like that. Yeah. And you know, I was like, one of my friends was again, it was like a really off the cuff thing, and it's nothing too deep or anything like that, but he was talking about how, because like basically I don't really have that much body fat, and he was talking about my like abs and stuff like that and how he wanted abs. But I was just kind of like, I kind of brushed it off at the time, but I didn't really pay it too much mind. But like now that I think back on it, like he said that a couple times like, throughout the years, so like it's obviously something that he
keeps thinking about. Yeah, sure.
And like my rebuttal, I didn't say it at the time, but like one of my rebuttals was, I thought about this after he said it, was to say to him like, at least you've got a beard. Right. So like for me, like I've obviously been thinking about like having or not having a beard as well. So it's obviously something that is like affected me in a different way. So
yeah, sure. Just funny again, it's that stereotype of, you know, men growing beards, but it's, well, you know, not everyone can grow that sort of thick, full Father Christmas type beard.
I
you
wish.
Know, yeah.
It's fucked
Santa
up, right?
vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked up because like literally, I'm probably disclosing too much now, but like I've got like hair everywhere. Like I've got like the hairiest legs, but like the one place where I want to have like, hair on my face, like I can't really get it to some degree.
No, sure.
Like it's weird. Like it'll grow to like here, and then my facial hair is like
doesn't have it. No.
So that's all we're doing.
I think everybody on the planet will probably have that thing. That's like, oh, you know, I've got big bum here, but why haven't I got any on my boobs? It's exactly the same. You know, I think nearly everyone, why am I not a bit taller? But, you know, for whatever reason, it's always something's good, but why, you know, it never goes quite the way you want it.
Yeah, well, the conversation for girls and asses, like almost went, it started off with, does my bum look big in this? Yeah. And now it's like, is my bum big enough?
Big enough, exactly.
Yeah, it's like mad.
Exactly that.
But
yeah,
but I do think that like we talked about earlier, like social media is like a massive, like it's poured a lot of petrol on the fire for this, because like the whole beard, I was just thinking about the beard thing, like the whole beard thing didn't really become a thing. I would have never thought about it until I started seeing it all on Instagram and
of course
seeing it on dating apps and all that kind
of stuff. And
that's
it, really, and it's part of what is fashionable now, that kind of hipster beard, tattoos, wearing braces, you know, like all those things that have kind of come and gone in fashion, are now suddenly back. And if you don't fit into that particular fashionable box at that time, then you're like, oh no, what can I do to change that? And sometimes it can be a case if you're really really keen to make that change for whatever reason, if it is just as simple as hitting the gym and you're going to feel better for it, then why not go for it? If it is a case of buy whatever clothes that make you feel good, or get a bit of Botox or something like this, then fine. But when you have those big drastic surgeries like those bum implants, like the pec implants that you mentioned, things like that huge drastic surgery that is quite life-changing and quite expensive, then I do think that's a shame. And on one hand, I'm like, if someone really wants to change something and it's within their means to do it and they're comfortable doing it, then go for it. If you're going to change your life for the positive, have it, honestly.
If it's going to make you happier, then go for it.
Definitely.
But, I do think it's just, like I say, it's just a shame that people feel like they have to go to, or some people feel like they have to go to such drastic measures to kind of like make themselves happy, or to make them seem more like appealing in society kind of thing. But I don't know, each their own kind of thing. But
I guess as well, if they're doing it for themselves, then wicked. But if you're doing it for a partner or the sort of person that you hope that you might want to attract, that's I suppose the only other thing that I would think is like, if I suddenly had it in my head, oh, men only like big boobs and I have to now go out of my way to get these big boobs, or a man won't find me attractive and whatever, then I think that's a shame massively, because I don't think that's true.
I'll be honest. I'll see some people. I'll see some girls on Instagram, and arguably, I probably know some girls who they'll do stuff like lip fillers is like the obvious one. I kind of think back to, like, they'll put in lip fillers because they think that guys like big lips,
right?
And they might act a certain way, or they might try and get like a bigger ass or whatever, basically because they think that's what guys want. And I just think, for me personally, as a guy, like the kind of the sexiest thing that you can do is just be yourself and be comfortable in yourself. I know that sounds really like corny, but I'd much rather go out with someone who might be kind of bigger and like have thin lips or whatever, basically. But as long as they kind of are comfortable with that and they're sure of themselves, rather than having to put like these lip fillers, which a lot of the times they don't actually look that great for the sake of trying to appease someone else. Like that to me is like an instant turn off kind of thing.
Definitely, I'd much rather just go out with someone just happy in themselves, that wasn't like trying for something all the time. Like, we all have those moments where you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, actually I could do with eating a bit less cake and a bit more going to the gym or whatever. But bottom line is, as long as you're like happy in yourself and you're like, and you're fun, you're a good person, I think that's something else. If you're always trying for something, like if you're spending every waking hour at the gym, if you only eat salad, if you never want to go for like a beer or any kind of relaxation moment because you're worried about something, about your body, it reflecting on your body, then that's like not the sort of person I want to hang out with. I'd much rather be with someone who's just like fun, who can be spontaneous and go to the pub or grab a pizza whenever you want. Like that kind of thing to me is much more appealing. Yeah,
and that reminds me of when I remember going on, in fact this happened quite a few times, but I've gone on like dates with people or girls, and they didn't want to go for dinner like the first date.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like part of the reason, like I'd say the majority of the reason why they didn't want to do that is because they're worried about either how much they ordered on the date. I know this sounds crazy when I say it out loud, but like how much they ordered on a date, or like they're worried about the guy watching them eat on the date.
Do you know about that? Because you asked them about it afterwards. Is that your something like you sort of assume because that way they behaved?
Well, no, I asked them before. Like I've basically suggested, like, do you want to go for dinner?
Yeah,
and they're
sure.
like, yeah, I'd love to, but like probably not on the first date because like I've only just met you and I don't want you to see me eating like a pig.
Wow.
Which I think I think that's terrible.
That's
and then,
so
like,
sad.
And then even like past the first date, like they've ordered just something like really light, like a salad and stuff like that, and I'm just like,
I know you really want this pizza. Like,
I know. It's like, I'm just like ushering over like the Doritos
Get
Cool
the
Original.
Chips. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But not that I'm trying to like fatten her up or anything like that. But I know that they don't eat like that when they're at home.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm just kind of like, that's what makes it just makes you feel a bit sad, to be honest. Like they feel like, granted I'm like a stranger, but I just feel like them not being able to feel comfortable and just eating something like a normal portion of whatever, like
that's it.
They feel comfortable doing that.
I just think it's quite good they felt that they could tell you and at least be honest about their reason for it.
Yeah, like some was before, but then some were like after as well. But even still, I just think it's like, like the thought as a guy just never crossed my mind to be like, oh my god, I hope.
What should
like
I eat in front of this woman? I don't want to look a certain way.
Yeah, like I say, it's completely different for guys and girls. But it just never really dawned on me, to be honest. So
I feel like out of that, at least you had the conversation, and I do feel that if more of these conversations happen, and between men and women as well as just within our own sort of like same-sex groups as well, having that, I think actually we'd find there's much more common ground in the middle of that than we'd think, because I suppose I've definitely been out with guys who've been a bit bigger and been a bit more self-conscious, but like I find that sexy, and I've liked all sorts of guys for all sorts of different reasons, but they've been a bit like, oh, you know, belly on me and all this. At least if we can have that conversation, and then I can reassure them that actually I not only don't mind your belly, but I find you as you are sexy, and then maybe we can start to I don't know.
Do you prefer like a dad bod or?
I honestly, I've genuinely been out with like out of the meaningful relationships I've had, maybe only 3 or 4 boyfriends I count as people that men have like been in love with. They've been genuinely across the board. One like normal, one was a bodybuilder, powerlifter type guy. One was a bit more of a dad bod. Yeah, like honestly, he could have been. Yeah.
Shout out Loughborough.
No, he wasn't in Power Base. It was after that, but he did go to one of those like, you know, beefy kind of like world's strongest man sort of gyms. And the guy I'm with now is like more like cyclist body, like he's slim but he's ripped kind of thing, but he's a slim build, and he's bald as well, which again, like I've actually been out with 2 bald boyfriends and 2 with hair. So out of that, mixed bag, yeah, exactly, a real mixed bag. But again, out of that, you know, some have had tattoos, some haven't, all of this. So when it comes to a sort of type, I'm personally much more like to fall for somebody based on like, you know, their bants, whether they make me laugh, whether they're a good person, whether they're fun to be with. That's my main thing. Do they want to be spontaneous and go out and eat out and get food? Do they want to go raving? Do they want to grab a few drinks? Like all of those sorts of things mean much more to me than somebody's physical appearance. Yeah. And I don't think I'm particularly outrageous with that. I think everybody would probably say that if they were pressed.
Yeah, I mean, when it boils down to it, like obviously you have to be physically attracted to someone, but yeah, ultimately, like, can you be friends with that person, or can you be best friends with that person ideally, and do you get on and all the rest of it really? But yeah, like I feel like the body image is it's all, I don't want to say secondary because it's not, but like when you're dating someone, but it is
important and it is paramount. It's part of that physical attraction, which is the key of any relationship. You have to fancy them initially, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
And then it boils down to the personality and all of that.
I feel like as I've gotten older, it's become less of a priority. It's still a priority, like 100%, but like as you get older and you start realizing that the person who you want to spend your time with, you need to just be able to get on with them, like first and foremost. Like there's literally 0 point in spending time with someone if they look really good but they've got a shit personality.
Exactly.
And like I think definitely when I was like growing up as a teenager, you don't necessarily kind of clock onto that. You just you'll be in a club or wherever basically, and you'll see like the best looking girl or like one of the hottest looking girls, and you'll just try and chirp her.
Yeah, for that reason that she's the hottest girl in a club and you want to be chirping her at that moment.
And not necessarily me personally, but like I've known people to go out with people when they haven't necessarily kind of gotten on with that person, but because they've been who they are and how they look, they just kind of carried that on. Whereas nowadays I'm just like, bro, my time is like precious, and it's like if I want to spend like 4 or 5 hours with someone around my house or wherever, like chatting about whatever basically, then like there needs to be something more than just how you look.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, I just think I think as every year goes on, like I'm more and more kind of conscious about that, and I kind of it becomes less of a thing around how do you look, but how do you kind of like, how do you make me feel in a really, I was about to start singing Michael Jackson now, the way you make me feel. That is actually kind of true, though, to be fair.
It is, and I know exactly what you mean then. And yeah, you're so right. When we're a bit younger, when things are a bit more frivolous, when all you've got to really worry about in your life is, you like your uni grade or going out with your mates, of course you want a hot partner to, sort of show off, I guess. But actually, as your life moves on and you start to think about, I've got less time now, I'm a bit more focused on my career, especially if you're still trying to date somebody. You don't just want to go out with someone who like looks good but with no substance. You want somebody that you're going to have like a real connection with. So It just becomes more important, I think. And I'd like to think that's how people sort of see me as well, you know. Sometimes I look a bit better, sometimes I look a bit worse. I don't know. But yeah, sometimes I'm just clapped, babe. But like, you know the truth, this pandemic has me clapped, like, honestly.
Listen, everybody in this pandemic looks clapped. Literally before, like, about a month, when was it, a month ago, when like hairdressers and barbers and stuff everybody was looking like werewolves.
Honestly, there were so many memes and jokes going around about people coming with like eyebrows like this and like nails like claws and stuff. But
everybody was looking dead out here.
Yeah, exactly. But the zombie apocalypse was real for a short period.
Just like everybody's just out here bird boxing it up. But another thing, this is something I just literally thought about. Is just where I see it quite prominently. Actually, is it's like during sex as well, or like even in the build-up to sex. And like one of the things that I hear the most, like before sex, is like, "Can you turn off the light?"
Oh, right.
And that always, I don't know why I'm surprised by that after all these years. But
that makes me sad.
That's
actually.
What I mean. It makes me sad because it's like number one, like I'm having sex with you because like I'm attracted to you. So like. Lights or no lights, it doesn't really make a difference to me.
You want to see, like sex is a visual thing as much as any kind of physical and feeling kind of thing as well, like physical and emotional feelings. So to kind of shut off that is actually a little bit sad, isn't it?
Yeah, but I hear it like more often than not as well.
Really?
And I don't know why I'm still surprised by it, but like I am for some reason. But yeah, like that's another thing that just kind of like makes me sad, I think. And you know, if you can't feel comfortable with someone who you're going to do the most intimate thing in the world with, then, you know, how can you ever expect to be comfortable in the big wide world in everyday situations? So
I think in that sort of thing as well, it's like both of you are hopefully there because you want to be, because you're enjoying yourselves. And so for one of you to then suddenly think, oh, actually, now I feel self-conscious, they're going to see this, that and the other bit of me that I would rather they didn't see in the daylight. That immediately makes me think, oh, you've taken that you've switched off that part of that enjoyment for you, and you kind of, you've done yourself a disservice.
It's like you're thinking too much.
Exactly. And as you say, you're with that person because you like them, because you obviously fancy them and find them attractive. You want to share that moment with them. You want to see everything as well as like be together and feel it as well. So for them to then shut that part of themselves off a little bit, I think that is a bit of a shame. But then in the same breath, I've definitely said it myself, like not recently, because I'm older now and I'm more confident and comfortable with myself. I know this is what I look like. There's bits of me that I like more than others, but that's just how it is. But I've definitely done that in my 20s and things where I've thought, oh no, what's this person been with? Who's this person been with before? I bet he only goes out with like model skinny girls and all this sort of thing. And you get inside your own head.
Yeah, I think, we almost psych ourselves out, actually. It's like everybody's got flaws. Everybody's got imperfections. But like, I think I was saying at some point during this, is like the imperfections, like I kind of like the imperfections.
Both they're real person, isn't it?
Like both on myself, but on other people. Like that's what kind of makes you.
Yeah.
And I just think when you take away that stuff and when you try and be too like you try and like smooth over that stuff and try and be too like fake, like the fakeness, that's, and I don't mean like fake in terms of like plastic surgery and stuff like that, but when you try and mask all the stuff that you don't like that, I don't know, that almost raises like red flags in my head, right? And that's where you start to become less attractive, ironically. But
have you ever had like the pillow princess?
What's the pillow princess?
So it's where you literally, you know, again, this is what I hear from my guy friends and people I know who slept with women, is like the girl literally lays on the pillow and she kind of like arranges her hair in this sort of like manner that just means that she looks all like perfect while the guy's above her, rather than just like getting into the moment, which is like, sex is dirty, it's down dirty, it's messy, you get hair like this, you know, it's grubby. It is a grubby process of two bodies coming together. So the idea of this person just like wanting to just lay on this pillow and have this like hair perfect and look like all like this just really cracks me up.
You know what? I don't think I've had that.
Have you not?
I might have had it and not even realise it.
Oh, maybe
because you're in the moment. Kind
or
of
maybe
thing,
you just thought that they genuinely like look. Oh, she's so beautiful. Yeah, she's landed on this pillow so beautifully.
Oh
I can't believe it.
Have you done that?
Yeah,
that's really skilled. Yeah, not that I can think of, to be honest. Like, like I say, maybe it's happened and I've not even realised it. But I haven't seen anything as choreographed as that.
Right.
I'm just trying to think of anything else that I might have seen that's
Have you seen American Psycho?
I have, but not in a while.
You know, it's that scene where Christian Bale's like, you know, banging this girl from behind, but actually he's not looking at the chick.
So
he's like flexing in the mirror. Yeah, he's flexing in the mirror and he's like kissing his own guns and things like this.
What, have I ever done that?
Well, yeah, have you ever done that? I was going to say, I've been with anyone who's done that, but I don't know.
I don't think I have, but
no.
I feel like purely on the basis that I haven't done it in front of a mirror. I feel like if I have done it, if I did do it in the mirror, then I probably would have.
Do you think
that's because
you would have?
Maybe because
really?
That's like I'm super like immature as well. It's like I've got like a mental age of like a 18-year-old or something like that. So maybe I would have done it, but I'm like 99% sure that I haven't done that. Thanks for watching 30 Years and Running. Please subscribe, comment and share. See you next week. Peace.